shape that you're using this year, Adam, and I was wondering if you could tell people a little bit about the actual shape and also, you know, a little bit about the thickness of the handles in the Grove bats.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, look, this is the exact sort of shape bat that I'll be using this year. I used the Majestic at the back end of last season. I'm using it over in England at the moment, and yeah, this will actually be one of my bats that I use this year. So yeah, beautiful shape, nice full shape, but quite a high middle. So therefore, the pickup is really nice. It feels a lot lighter than probably what it says on the label. For me, the handle that you mentioned is a little bit thinner. I use a single grip. It's something that I went to at the back end of my career, probably a slightly lighter bat with a thinner handle and just a single grip, which then allowed me to get a bit more bat speed, a bit more feel about when I was batting, and it's just been my personal preference. Again, everyone's a little bit different, but obviously if you want something a little bit thicker, you can always add another grip. But yeah, beautiful shaped bat, some lovely grains, some nice even grains, which is what I sort of look for in a cricket bat. And like you mentioned, every bat's been hand-picked either by Justin or Scott over in the factory, so you know it's going to be good quality.
One little thing with the Grove bats this year that I've noticed, Happy, that they've gone with a little bit squarer toe. It's funny because when you do tap the bat on the ground, the slightly squarer toe, not completely square, sort of gives the impression the bat's a little bit wider. Do you find that, or is it just mine? Well, maybe no bat look wide for me. But
I'll take every little bit I can get, Bobby. But yeah, no, I tend to agree. A slightly flatter bottom of the bat does tend to make it look a touch wider when you're batting down. And yeah, as a batter, anything that makes your bat look a bit wider, I think is probably a good thing.
And you know, this year we've got a tremendous batch of bats in from Grove, and for any bats that are ordered online, I can promise you either myself or Scott will personally hand pick your bat out as close to the weight that you specify and prepare the bat up and put an extra tech tape on it, unless you prefer to oil the bat, which some people still do, but the majority of people go with the protective facing tape on and leave that on, especially when you're breaking a bat in. But as far as rebound goes, pick up and how they look, these are you know, something special.
Could you maybe just quickly run through the other shapes? We've got obviously the unique shape, the reserve shape, and also the Royale shape. Just quickly.
We'll quickly review the unique shape. This is a green sticker. It looks quite fresh. The sticker is designed, the colour scheme was picked out by Scott. First off, I didn't like it, but it's starting to really grow on me because it's a little bit different. It's fresh. These are a bit like the Majestic, but a slightly lower middle, Happy. And I don't know how that picks up to you, but you know, they once again feel really good. Would that, in your opinion, suit people a little bit more front foot players then?
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, and again, another beautiful shape. Yeah, green. I like the green. The handles are the same in all the ranges, but yeah, slightly lower middle, which again, for something, if I was to play over in the eastern states, or if I was playing maybe some one-day cricket, I like the higher middle for when I'm playing at home at the Wacker in Perth. When I'm playing away from the Wacker, something with a slightly lower middle would probably be a bit more of my preference.
Okay, thanks. And same thing again. If you pick one of these online, either myself or Scott will personally pick your bat out for you.
And the Royale?
The Royale. Now, this one is a little bit different than the other two that we've reviewed. This has got a slightly concave in it. This was the shape that you used a couple of years ago. This is the exact shape where you started with your first Test match 100 in the West Indies, I'm pretty sure. But these ones, you can get some lovely lightweight bats in these. They're only a very slight concave. Sometimes you can concave a bat out too much and you take away the rebound. You can find that a bat's only got a sweet spot right down the centre of the bat, the middle of the bat. But these, this has most probably been our most popular Grove bat. Once again, something a little bit different than the other two, than the Unique and the Majestic, but another lovely shape.
Yeah, spot on. Probably the shape that I've used for a fair chunk of the last probably 5 years of my career. Certainly all through my test career, this was the shape that I used. For me, it was about having something that looked really big, but was really light as well. And it struck a perfect balance for me. I found that I was able to use it in most conditions. Again, I've tinkered around because that's what you do with the shape of your bat when you get the chance to. But this has been a favourite shape of mine for a long time, and I can see why it's quite popular.
Yeah, and finally, the Grove have got one more bat in the range. And Happy, do you ever get tempted in limited over cricket to walk out in the middle with a bat this size?
Yeah, look at the size of this thing, Bobby. Immediately comes to mind, you think of the size of the bats that your David Warners and your Chris Lynns and these sort of guys, you see them walking out with these huge bats and you go, well, how can we replicate that? Well, we've been able to manage to do that. Obviously going to be a little bit heavier, but there's so much wood in these things. I think this one picks up at about £2.12, which, to be fair, for the amount of wood you've got in it, is still pretty good, I think. So if that's your game, where you think I'm going to come out and start hitting sixes from ball one, then maybe this is the bat for you.
Yeah, and once again, still going with the thinner handle, because if you like a thicker handle, you can always put a grip over the top. And it's quite interesting. We talk about bat speed, but David Warner, I've noticed with his bats, he's got like a pencil thin, handle with his bat. So obviously, so he can generate more bat speed. But the grains on these have been, just awesome this season. But if you want one of these and you want a lightweight bat, then I'm pretty good at picking a bat out, but that's going to be a little bit too much for me. These are all going to be around that 212 to 215 mark, but for the big power hitters and limited overs cricket, there's nothing bigger than this on the market.
All right, so there you go. There's the Grove range for this coming season. Thanks to Bobby and Bogsy.